Well, welcome to today's adventure here on San Juan Island in the middle of nowhere, broken down with my 2024 Harley Davidson Road Glide. Unfortunately, this video is not clickbait. Although it's beautiful up here, this was not the plan for today. Not at all. So decided to go for a motorcycle ride after work, threw the Insta360 on the back, and out of nowhere the bike just started sputtering and died. When I say it died, I mean the engine just shut off. So my first response was to try to restart the bike. I restarted it, and it rode like shit up the hill here and just shut off again. So my next train of thought is, okay, let's check for codes because I'm getting a triangle warning light and a traction control light. So check the codes, and to my delight, there's no information online about this specific code that my bike is throwing, and that is because it is a new for 2024 code. The reason it is a new for 2024 code is because the previous generation M8s did not have this part, so they did not need to have this parameter and code. Now the code that it's throwing is a P34100, and that is a camshaft sensor communication error. So the previous generation M8s did not have a camshaft sensor, they just have the crank sensor, and now we have a camshaft sensor, which means we can now have an error of communication between that sensor and the ECM. Somewhere along the way, I'm having an issue. I doubt it's the ECM because I feel like more things would be going off than just that. Most likely it is actually the camshaft sensor itself that has failed, in my opinion. Just looking at the wiring really quick, all the connections are still good. There's no chafing or anything like that. Nothing's changed. I've not run anything over. So I could imagine that sensor has failed at 4,500 miles. So obviously we're gonna dig deeper into this, and I'm gonna have a lot more information for you guys within this video. But for now, let's go over to the bike, turn it on, and I will show you what codes it's throwing, kind of what I'm getting on my gauge cluster right now, and how the bike's currently running. Okay, so when I turn the ignition on, get the Harley Davidson logo, all good there. And we have triangle warning light, which you don't normally have. Normally you just have the other two. We have traction control and ABS flashing now. I did take a clip before I shut the bike off the second time when it was running like crap, and it does have the traction control light on. I'll obviously throw that here in the video. So let's go ahead and start the bike, and we'll see how it's running. So it's actually better now than it was, but it's still shaking way more than normal. And yeah, it definitely is hunting idle and not running right. It was way worse before. So as you guys can see there is definitely something wrong. It's so much worse under load. The bike just wants to die. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to ride it home. So where I go from here, I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to ride it home, back to where I stay here on the island. But once I have to leave for my work week back home, I'm looking at an 1.5-hour boat ride to the mainland and then a 3-hour ride home. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to do that. It's if I can't figure out the issue up here, I'm gonna have to end up probably trailering the bike home. I don't think that Harley Davidson's gonna wanna foot that bill or cover that. I'm not sure. Obviously, I will keep you guys up to date on all of that over these next few days, what I figure out. For now, I'm just gonna try to get it home, I guess. I really wish I would have been recording that. I just had a nice woman in a Honda come up to me and tell me that standing on this rock right here, this rock that's from there to here, I'm in the endangered butterfly. I'm not, literally not kidding. I'm in the endangered butterfly habitat because I'm right here. Anything past there is off limits. I apologize. We do love the butterflies. I just didn't realize I was endangering them standing on a boulder. So let me get out of here and we'll continue on with this chat. Unreal. Oh. Okay. Thank you. Oh, okay. The moon's gonna rise, guys. Ooh. All right, you guys, we are back here. It is the next day. I'm off work and I'm kind of trying to dig in a little bit as to what could be going on here on the bike. And I turned the ignition on, tried pulling the 60 amp fuse again, and still, as soon as you try to start the bike, that triangle light comes back, but now not the traction control light. So I don't know if I have to be moving and have it blip out on me before that traction control light comes on. But all that aside, so far I have gone around and checked the cam sensor here. Wiring runs down, goes in, there's a connector there, that looks fine. The wiring itself running along the frame seems fine, and then it runs up and in under the seat. I think the next step is going to be to actually pull this cover and check the cam sensor. One theory that may hold a little bit of weight could be that the SP Concepts exhaust, not having a heat shield, maybe could have heat soaked that cover and caused a failure to the cam sensor. And I'm really interested to find out if that's the case. If it is, obviously I would be putting in a heat shield there, or I saw that Hoffman Designs makes a billet one. I don't know if the billet one would avoid heat soak over the plastic one, or I could put, like, you know, some heat shielding on the inside of it before the cam sensor, like under that cover there, you know, something. So this will be really interesting, and I think this will be really good information for anybody down the road or anybody with an aftermarket exhaust that now is dealing with this cam sensor. So I think I really hope that you guys get some good value out of this as we kind of progress through the stages of figuring out what the heck's going on here. So yeah, I think my next step is going to be to pull that cam cover and check it out, see if there's any obvious failure to the cam sensor. If not, I will try one more time to reset, but from there it's just going to be figuring out how to get the bike back home. I don't know if I really want to ride it 3 hours back home and risk, you know, I don't know if the bike's running lean, how bad the timing is on it right now. I couldn't tell you. So I may actually be able to trick the bike by using the Screamin' Eagle Smart Tune and allowing it to Smart Tune for the current parameters of the bike's running. Maybe that would, I don't know. This is all just, I'm just throwing stuff out there to you guys right now. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep digging and check back in with you guys as I figure things out. All right, you guys, so I have my coworker's Allen set. We're just doing things on the fly here. So it is a 4mm, and here we are. It is a single 4mm. Then we'll see what's under this cover. Probably be another bolt holding the cam sensor in, unless it's all one thing. Cam sensor cover just slips right off. Oh, it looks like it uses the same bolt as the cover there. And as we can see, this electrical connection looks good still. Little rubber grommet there. And the sensor itself looks fine. No obvious, like, anything's hit it and damaged it inside. Yeah, beyond that, there's really not much to see. Electrical connection looks good. So looks like that's just another thing we can check off the list that it's not at least visually. I mean, obviously the sensor could totally be bad, but no visible, obvious failure has occurred there. And usually with a sensor it wouldn't be visible, but with that having the cam rotating near it, I thought that possibly we may see some sort of like the face of it could have been damaged, kind of like if you were to picture like old, like on a cap and rotor type deal on a distributor, where you can see if it's corroded or something like that, then maybe there'll be an actual like contact. So anyways, I'm rambling at this point, and this is obviously as far as I can kind of go in a parking lot after work. So go ahead and tighten this up, and like I said, one more time I will try clearing the codes and see what that does. Other than that, this thing's gonna be going to the dealer, and I'll call Harley Davidson and let them figure it out, and then I can report to you guys what the solution is. So stick with me. All right, you guys, well, we are back out here. It's after work. Decided to try to retune the bike with the Screaming Eagle tuner, the Pro Street one, and so I checked the codes on it. It's showing a little bit more detailed than the bike would show, and that is a camshaft front. Anyways, I'm gonna turn the bike on, turn the app on for the tuner, show you exactly what it's showing. We'll try clearing it. We'll fire the bike up. You'll see that it comes right back. So there's actually something here. So let's get right into it. So ignition on. We do have the triangle warning light currently on. We're gonna go to the app here. All right, you guys, so if we go to tune, toolbox, error codes, no fault codes present, but it was a PO 341 or 34100, and it is a camshaft position sensor circuit range performance front intake. Now, if I go to start the bike, that code will pop right up. And there it is, current code. We have camshaft position sensor circuit range performance front intake, and then historic codes. If we clear it, comes right back. Now the bike is shaking more, like I said, and if I grab the brakes, then it shakes even worse. Like I can feel it in the bars, the idle's all over the place. So as you guys can see, there is actually something there. I'm not sure how I'm gonna get the bike back home yet after my work week, but we will figure that out. I may end up riding it home. It does run okay, but like I said, a couple of times it has completely died on me, and it has like done like a throttle blip on the way back home after it left me on the side of the road when it totally died. So I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna handle getting it back yet. My coworkers will be with me. We get off at the same time. We're commuting down the highway at the same time, so I guess I could try to ride it, and if I have any issues, they can kind of be my support back up there. But not something that you want to deal with a brand new bike. So I think most people would try to have it trailered. I'm in a unique situation where I don't know how much I care about the top end of this bike or this engine. A little hint for you guys. So where I'm at right now is kind of just, I'm gonna get it back home by whatever means necessary, even though that's not what I recommend. For engine health, if you're having timing issues, you don't know if you're running rich, your rich is fine, better than running lean. You know, timing is not something that you want to play with too much. So I'm gonna obviously try to be babying it home, and I'll catch a ferry instead of riding all the way around. So that way it will be less riding on the bike. And we have an appointment on Wednesday with Harley Davidson as soon as they open. So I will have more information for you guys shortly in this video. All right, good morning, you guys. It is the day after getting home for me. I did make it home with the bike. I did ride it. It did give me issues. So I started out recording and the triangle light wasn't even there. And normally it comes on right as I start the bike, but it had a chance to be like cooled off and whatnot. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. When it started warming up, the triangle light came back on, and it was misfiring. Like you can tell, it's like a little stumble, like a little like just hesitation, especially under load or like up a hill. So that was definitely, you know, obvious. And then then it fell on its face and the engine shut off again. When it does that, that's when the traction control light then comes on as well. So, and it only did that to me one time. After that, I got it back up. I got to the highway and just cruise controlled 75, and the triangle light was on the whole time. The obvious lack of like that little hesitation was there, but it did make it. I have been keeping an eye on my exhaust, making sure that it's not turning blue, because that's an obvious sign of running lean. I do kind of think that when we get to the dealership, they're going to tell me that the bike is a little bit out of time or some sort of issue there, but we're just going to have to go ahead and see. We are heading out right now to go to the dealer and keep you guys informed on what we have coming next with them. All right, you guys, so we have the bike here out of the shop. It's been about 2.5 hours, and they did find an issue. All right, you guys, well, we just got back from the Harley Davidson dealership. The bike stuttered again, threw the traction control light on again, and the news isn't good. So it really frustrates me the way that they diagnose things nowadays. I asked them what they had to do, plugged in, did diagnostic after diagnostic based on what it tells them to do. They never took the seat off, never took the tank off, determined that it is the entire main harness, and they got approval from Harley Davidson corporate to replace the entire main wiring harness. So they're never going to know what was actually the problem. We're never going to know what was actually the problem. They're just going to throw money, throw parts at it. I think he said it's something like $1,400 for this harness. I get that, 6 hours of their labor costs the same, so it just makes sense for them to do it. But it's extremely frustrating because 10 years from now, someone's going to buy one of these bikes that hasn't had this issue yet, and all of a sudden it's going to happen, and it's going to be the exact same thing as what I have going on here, and they're going to be paying for a harness out of pocket or trying to find this problem. So I want to know what the damn problem is. So I'm going to do a little bit of digging. I'm not going to go crazy because I don't have the technology that they do to do these diagnostics. So I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but I am going to pull the seat off and maybe pull the tank off and take a look at this harness and see if we can't kind of come to some sort of an understanding of maybe where this short in the harness is, because they said that is what is causing all of this, just out of the blue at 4,500 miles. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do that. I did buy some things to make myself feel better about this whole situation. Yeah, so saddlebags are full of stuff, including stuff to do an oil change, which we're gonna go ahead and do right now while everything's hot. But unfortunately, it looks like I'm not gonna be riding the bike very much the next 2 weeks because it's gonna take 2 weeks to get this harness, and then it's a whole day, but they're gonna pick it up and do everything because I'll be gone at work probably. Anyways, it sucks. I want answers. I'm gonna try to get them for you guys, and we're gonna keep moving. All right, you guys, it's been about 2.5 weeks since we dropped the bike off at Harley Davidson. We've got my buddy Dan here behind me. We have his 24 Road Glide here, and as you can see, he's got the passenger chariot all set up because he's throwing me on the back and riding me out to Harley. We're gonna hop on my bike and we're gonna go straight into a ride. So hopefully it's all fixed. They say it's all good, new main harness. So yeah, let's hit the road. All right, you guys, well, as you can see, we made it home from the dealership and the bike performed flawlessly. It's back to its old self. I'm really excited about that. It was a blast to ride home on, and so I'm glad that it's finally dealt with. Now, I'm gonna be making a separate video on my experience with this entire process because I'm quite honestly pretty upset with how everything went down. Harley Davidson did nothing wrong as a company, but I have some real issues with how things were worked on and so on and so forth, the whole process. So I'm gonna get into that in a separate video because I feel that it deserves that attention, and I think it'll be a good warning for anybody anywhere with any sort of machinery or automobile, motorcycle that you wanna take in and have worked on, I think it's quite important to consider the things that I'm going to go over in the video. So having said all of that, I'm happy that the bike is fixed. Kind of a recap for you guys. There was nothing wrong with the cam sensor itself. There was nothing wrong with the cam sensor wiring itself. It just so happened that somewhere in the main harness that does run a signal from the cam sensor to the ECM, there was a failure there. According to their paperwork here, the code was the cam sensor DTC. It was diagnosed that the main wiring harness was the issue. Work resolution technician verified code PO34100, open short to ground, open circuit. Unable to find ground, instructed to replace main wire harness. Main harness replaced per tech services. After replacement harness, no codes present. Test ride verified. Motorcycle operating within Harley Davidson's parameters. I received the bike back just like it was prior to having any issues. Aside from some things that are unrelated to the harness or the bike's actual functions, like I said, separate video, we're gonna get into that. Grand total, $1,826 is what I would have paid if I did not have the warranty on this bike. So something else for you guys to consider is if you're buying a 2024, maybe private sale, somebody just bought it, I would really consider getting a warranty. This thing failed on me at 4,900 miles. You know, the first time it let me down, it was 680 miles. Okay, it's a new bike, it's still working out kinks. 4,900 miles, I thought I was good. You know, I saw Adam Sandoval's video doing the, you know, ride to Sturgis and whatnot, and they're talking about they just crossed 5,000 miles and the bike's great. And in my head, I'm like, wonder who else is gonna have an issue after 5,000 plus miles of riding, you know? So, really something to consider. You know, this warranty is invaluable with these new model years, and that's not just a Harley Davidson thing. That's, you know, my truck has a recall for the DPF system that they keep sending. They've sent me like 10 of them. It's deleted. That doesn't have any of that anymore, so it doesn't matter. But, so just something to keep in mind, you know? So, if you're having any sort of electrical issues, you know, sensors throwing codes, do some simple diagnostics on your own maybe, but really if you have a warranty, I would take advantage of that because, you know, with these new bikes, all the electronics, it reminds me of my BMW where, you know, it'll say that the cam sensor is seeing an issue, but it actually has nothing to do with the cam sensor. It's the main wiring harness in this circumstance. Same thing with my BMW, you know, it'll say like steering rack, you know, signal failure because it's an electronic steering rack, stuff like that. Turned out the battery was just low and it wasn't getting the voltage that it wanted to see. So really a lot to think about. You know, I know that this is kind of a generalized statement here, but just keep in mind that with these new model years, you are going to run into some things. Now, I do want to kind of close out this whole series, because this was like a month-long thing, basically, by saying that I in no way think that Harley Davidson did a bad job handling this situation, the company itself, and I absolutely love this motorcycle. This has been such a pleasure to own. Every mile I've ridden on this motorcycle, I have absolutely loved. So in no way is this video me giving you a warning like, hey, you shouldn't buy one of these motorcycles. I think if you buy one of these bikes, you're going to absolutely love it as well. I'm just sharing every real world situation that I run into with it, in case somebody else is going through this. You know, what if somebody in a few years from now buys a bike that somebody rode 1,000 miles a year for 4 years and then sells to them with 4,000 miles? Well, they could still have this exact same thing happen to them like it did to me. So that's kind of my whole reasoning behind sharing all these things with you guys. Not necessarily that I am unhappy with my experience and purchase. So this bike has been so much fun, and I really look forward to putting some more miles on this thing this summer. I have a 4 or 5 day motorcycle trip planned, riding down to Southern Oregon, meeting up with my uncle who's coming up from Sacramento, and we'll be riding our bikes all over Southern Oregon, might dip into Northern California, and then we're going to ride PCH up. So that's going to be really, really cool. I will definitely film some of that for you guys. So that's what you guys have to look forward to in the coming weeks. So I appreciate you guys watching this video as always, all of the support. If you have questions, comments, or anything like that based on what you've seen here today or any other stuff that you've seen from me, please leave them down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Catch you guys in my next off week.